Hey guys, it's your best boxing friends. I'm Kelsey. This is Rachel. Rachel, right?
I'm Rachel, yeah.
And now it's time for feelings talk. Rachel, you have some feelings, I hear.
Yes.
You got the feels about something. What is it?
Well, okay, so basically it's this. If you don't know, Kelsey is a combat sports writer. Okay.
Sorry, whenever somebody says that. So if you ever talk to me in person, be wary.
So he's been covering the UFC, and Kelsey, in addition to boxing, he's covering both now. And so Kelsey's actually he always knew a little bit about the UFC, but now he knows like the ins and outs of the UFC. And so when we are out and about, where we see other people outside this home, outside the two of us and our two dogs.
Yeah.
It's like all of a sudden people are like, oh, they want to like talk to Kelsey about
UFC fights. Yeah, okay, and that's never been the case.
No, and I messaged somebody like just to see how they were doing, and they're like talking about like the fight because I just said that Kelsey wrote about like UFC, and like they're all like, and I was like, well, it makes me feel kind of lonely about
kind
boxing.
Of left out. Yeah, okay.
Because like Kelsey covers UFC, right. I know just a little more about it. Because of that.
Rachel will casually view a very select few of UFC fights that just happen to catch her interest.
I just don't know as much
like
about it.
Like Holmes fighting, when Connor fought, you watched or whatever. But as far as
if we go to somebody's house, because I enjoy that camaraderie.
Around other people that, because you want to learn about it and it's cool to be.
I like to watch sports with like groups of people. Yeah. But anyway, like we're out and about and like they're all like super interested, and I'm like, we've been here and nobody talks to us about boxing. And we were, I don't even remember where we were, but somebody they were talking to you. We were at a New Year's Eve gathering, and somebody like asked Kelsey about like, oh, what fights are this weekend? And I was sitting there and I was all in my head like, I knew every boxing match that was coming up, and
but
then
I wasn't talking about boxing. Yeah, okay.
I had to withdraw because I was like, "Oh, he's not talking about boxing."
Here's what's happened the last.
And now
let's talk about the previous 10 years, though, right? So I started writing a little bit about the UFC maybe like 2 years ago, and it's grown over that time to where now I think I cover the UFC more than I do boxing as far as like how much volume of stuff that I write for as part of my job. So I'm really, really grateful for that. So, but the previous time in my life, whenever we would meet anybody in real life, well, what do? I'm a boxing writer. I write about boxing or whatever. That would come up. Oh, do you cover the UFC? No, not really. Okay, they don't. People still box. Like this was like a common thing. Like nobody really knows that boxing exists, which is frustrating as a boxing fan. And it's really hard. People just don't seem to care. But yeah, I have noticed that too.
Like everybody people just want to, like, they're all like excited to talk about UFC. And here's the thing. So with other sports, we're not fans of any of the local teams. So we also miss out on some of that connection. You know, we're not Texans fans. We're not Astros fans.
The only local team that we follow is the Houston Cougars, University of Houston Cougars.
Right.
We don't have like a lot of, it's not like, you know,
and that's like the least followed team in the city of Houston.
It's just true.
So it feels like, just like being a Cowboys fan. Maybe not quite a Packers fan, but like.
Well, the good thing about being a Cowboys fan is that we do live in America.
And so I don't get like a lot of that connection just across the board.
So you feel left out.
But when you started covering UFC, it was all of a sudden, it was like all this interest. And I was like, oh, I don't know. What is that feeling? It makes me like, I feel a little bit like sad because I want that same camaraderie with things that I have an interest in.
Yeah.
You know?
I understand.
And I think I have like a longing and a yearning for that sports camaraderie, and I don't really get it.
You got it here with your best boxing friends.
I do get it
understand.
Here.
I know what it's like, Rachel. You know, this is...
Oh my gosh, well, one day will we do a meetup?
I think we will. It's been like this for a long time. I'm really excited and grateful for the opportunity to write about UFC and mixed martial arts in general. I also wrote about Bellator today. It's a different version. Anyway, I'm excited about it. And what I like most about it is that in my own career, all the stuff that I learned covering boxing for a decade, like, carries over. Like, when I interview fighters, everything is the same, right? It's not the same sport, but they're very similar. And those skills that I've learned as a boxing writer for 10 years have translated very well into the new space. But I also learned now when I started covering sports betting and casino news and all this other stuff, I learned how to cover those things. And so I think it's helped me do a good job covering the UFC, and I'm excited about it. I always loved boxing. Boxing's my first love. Oh, first love boxing. But why don't you pay me more? Or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, I can't get the work. It's hard to get work
well, it's hard
covering
to get work
boxing.
it's hard
to get work covering anything, so I'm super grateful. It's hard to get work covering UFC. I'm super grateful for all the chances I have to do that. And wherever the work is, that's where you'll find Kelsey McCarson. And that's where Rachel will be next to him. Sad.
What I would like to know after we got off on that little tangent about Kelsey's work is, what about you? Like, maybe your experience is different. Maybe you're in an environment where you have all kinds of boxing friends, like in real life, and you get to experience the camaraderie of that. Or maybe you're like us. So I would just be curious, because I know we have some subscribers and frequent commenters, and that are from different places. United States,
other places,
the UK, and I'm just curious about your experiences, because I would like, sometimes I think my experience is everybody's experience, which I think is kind of normal, but it's also good to be aware of that.
One thing Rachel's not interested in is anything that I had to say.
That's not true.
That's how it felt.
I'm sorry.
Sorry we got on this tangent about
you started
Kelsey's
talking about
stupid life.
Work and getting paid and not getting paid, and
I think it's important. Like, it's a thing that exists. There's a lot of people out there that write or do have this thing that they do, like that I do, and you're not alone if you struggle trying to get work and the thing that you love to do.
That's true.
You're not alone. It's hard. It's really, really hard.
What's not hard is clicking subscribe to our channel. Please subscribe to our channel, like this video, and, comment, because I really want to hear what your experience is like being a boxing fan.